Well, hello and welcome again. It's Dr. David Hargroder, and I'm here with my patient care coordinator, Miss Carla, with a new subject today. I think an important subject
Yes.
regarding the mini-gastric bypass. We're going to be talking about the do's and don'ts. It's a topic we discussed. It's been a while, so I think it's about time we revisit this because past patients need to make sure to get some friendly reminders, and those considering having the surgery need to kind of know what you're in store for. And the list isn't really long. It's just really important, right?
Very. Yes.
So where do you want to start with this?
Let's start with the do's. Let's start with the very beginning. What are the things that are important for the newbies to do?
Well, the first thing is follow our instructions.
Amen.
We've been doing this for 22 years now.
Yes.
And we still every once in a while get a patient that feels like those rules are just suggestions and they don't really apply to me. And so the little things that we have them do or not do. So the first thing is to just follow our instructions, because all of the instructions that we give our patients, whether it's do's or don'ts, it's all meant to give you the best possible experience with the least amount of adverse effects or complications. And so it's all meant with good faith and good motives in mind, So if we start at the very beginning, getting everything in, if you're preparing for surgery, make sure to get everything in early, because the earlier you get it in, the earlier we get to review stuff to determine if there's something. Maybe you need a heart workup, or maybe you need your lungs checked out or something. If we find that out at the last minute, then we're having to delay your surgery. But if we get everything in early and we say, oh, we need a little bit more to make sure you're a good candidate, then we still have plenty of time between now and whatever surgical date you may have selected.
Yes.
Right. And then we get after the surgery, and really we've got a diet, and there's 3 stages to the diet: stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. Stage 1 is very strict. And so my do for stage 1 is stay faithful to the diet. Don't meander off thinking that the rules don't apply to you. Stage 1 diet for somebody that hasn't had the surgery sounds impossible to keep, right? It sounds horrible because it's very strict. It's Gatorade broth, yogurt, saltine crackers, a few little substitutes. And most people are in the mindset, of I'm still eating 3 huge meals a day. How in the world am I going to survive on Gatorade broth, yogurt, and saltine crackers? The interesting thing that happens after the surgery, because the surgery actually affects your appetite, the hardest part of the stage 1 diet is getting it all in, because you just don't feel like eating. Your hunger is kind of gone for that first few weeks after surgery. So you have to remind yourself to eat your yogurt. You have to remind yourself to drink your Gatorade, because food is not now the top priority, because you're just not thinking about it. And then, of course, after a couple of weeks, you get into stage 2, where you're starting to eat more soft foods, and you can rapidly progress into stage 3, where within a couple of months, you're eating normal food. You can go into a restaurant, order from the regular menu, and nobody at the table next to you is going to have any idea that you've had surgery, except maybe for the leftovers that you'll be bringing home,
Yes.
And let's see, as we progress out, then you make it to your 1-month follow-up visit. Most people are very good about keeping their 1 week and their 1-month follow-up. But after that, we start having people trail off. And that's a mistake.
Yes.
Because those follow-up visits are very important. They're not like a typical doctor's visit, right? We just do a group clinic. A lot of it we just do online. And it's just to give you those gentle reminders of things you should be doing, things you shouldn't be doing, like making sure you're taking your multivitamin every day. making sure you're getting at least 30 to 60 ounces of fluid in every day. In the beginning, that may be your Gatorade, but eventually it's going to be other forms of juices and water and, Kool-Aid and those sort of things. But getting those fluids, getting your protein in. Protein. We keep emphasizing protein is something that you really want to focus on with every meal that you have, regardless if it's a full meal or in between meal snack. You need to look at your plate or look at your snack that you're holding and say, what is my protein source? Because protein is one of the most important things you need after mini-gastric bypass. And, after that, there's really very little. Getting your yogurt or a probiotic, a multivitamin, and a fiber product. Those are the big ones.
Yes.
Now, another good thing that should be a to-do after surgery is exercise. But here's the good news.
Yes.
The good news is really you're going to lose weight whether you exercise or not, right? But if you want to maximize the benefits of your surgery, getting some kind of an exercise. I mean, you've spent all this money, you've invested all this time and energy to getting healthy. I always remind patients, our goal is not to make you skinny. Our goal is to make you healthy. So if we're getting healthy, exercise is certainly a big part of that. And I can always tell our real success stories because they're the ones that are doing things that I couldn't even do. We got people parasailing and hiking the mountains of Spain and running triathlons and marathons and things that I'm like, man, I wish I was that healthy.
And look at Judy, age 67, ran her first 5K. 67. She did terrific. And if you see her before and after pictures, it's absolutely incredible.
The funny thing is, if for her to just stand up and tell the story, people don't really get it until she holds up her before picture and says, well, this is who I used to be. And so it gives you an appreciation. Oh my goodness.
Okay. People have heard me many times say that I weigh 320. Okay. Do not count the chins. They don't count. Okay. But then a year and a half later, there I am, a year and a half later. Is that not absolutely incredible? Oh my gosh, I love these.
Yeah. Before and after pictures. That's another, that reminds me, that's another good do. Carry your before picture with you so that people can appreciate when you start talking about, your experience. People can't imagine that you used to weigh what you used to weigh. Especially if they've never met you,
right? Because you don't look like that anymore.
And a picture is really, really does is worth 1,000 words in that regard.
In fact, I had these two pictures laminated, and they're in my purse because you're absolutely right. The subject can come up with anybody, anywhere. And you do, once you lose that weight and you feel what it's like to be healthy and happy again, you can't wait to share it with anyone. So I never hesitate to pull those pictures out. Yes, it's putting myself out there, but that's the joy of sharing it. Yes, and also take lots of pictures during your journey. Every month on the day of my surgery, I took my picture and I made an album out of it. And I treasure that
that's
album.
A great idea.
Oh my goodness. And measure, because as the weight comes off real fast in the beginning, but then it tapers down a little bit because you're smaller. So if you measure, it reinforces your weight loss, and celebrate your achievements. My goodness. And get rid of those fat
a lot of patients
clothes.
talk about like when you're not losing weight necessarily, you might find that you're losing inches, right? I mean, is that what you experience?
Definitely.
Yeah, I get that from a lot of patients.
Yes, and buy fitted clothes, especially while you're losing so quickly, because they're going to be loose
Yeah, and
quick.
don't go to the high-end clothing store, right? Because you'll be spending a
No, no,
lot of
no.
money because you're changing
No, no,
clothes
no.
sizes so
Yes.
rapidly. You know,
And I think two more real important things is during the beginning, when you're the baby, sip your drinks and chew your food. It's not always going to be that way. And listen to your body, because your body's going to tell you when you're
right.
full. So, and don't push it. And lastly, don't compare yourself to anyone. Whenever we do that in life, we never come out ahead. Don't compare yourself to anyone. Let your journey be your
That's great.
journey and
Great
enjoy
advice.
it.
Great advice.
Yes.
You know, something
Yes.
else just came to me, and this is just a very practical matter, but the surgery that we do, the mini gastric bypass, is different than the Roux-en-Y or the sleeve or a lot of the others.
Yes.
So if you or ever find
Yes.
yourself in an emergency room for whatever reason, whether it's a car wreck or belly pain or whatever it might be, and you tell
Hmm.
the doctor, I've had gastric bypass, they're going to automatically assume that you've had a Roux-en-Y. So one of the
Yes.
things that we provide our patients with after the surgery is a little card that actually has a picture of what the mini gastric bypass looks like. So if you show that,
Yes.
that's another good card to laminate and carry with you. So if you ever have to have an
Yes.
upper endoscopy or any kind of surgery, you can show that card to your doctor and they will understand exactly, what it is that you've had done. So,
Definitely. And I do. I have that picture on my phone
yeah,
as well with all my pictures, because I want them to know what I've had.
great
So,
idea.
yes.
Fun. I forget we got technology now, so you can just take a picture of it and carry it on your phone. You don't need that laminated card anymore. All right. So
Yes. But that card is
the
good
don'ts
too.
now, there's some don't, and the good news is there's not a lot of don'ts, really.
No.
But the don'ts that we have are meant to protect you and prevent serious complications.
Yes.
Because one of the realities of gastric bypass, whether it's the mini gastric bypass, whether it's a Roux-en-Y, whether it's a SADI, whether it's a duodenal switch, whatever the bypass procedure might be, there's one hard reality, and that is you are at an increased risk of ulcers, stomach ulcers. Matter of fact, it's
Yes.
got a special name. It's called a marginal ulcer. And you can think of it as being right at the margin between where the stomach meets the small bowel. And right there at the anastomosis, the connection between the two, is where you're at risk for getting an ulcer. And even if you do everything perfectly right, you could get an ulcer, although that's rare. But there are certain things that absolutely will increase your risks of getting ulcers. And ulcers not only cause potential pain and bleeding, but in the more serious cases, they can perforate, meaning they burst. And that becomes a
Ooh.
surgical emergency that has to be corrected immediately in the operating room. And so the things that can increase the risk of ulcers after this surgery are things that you absolutely have to avoid. Excuse me. And number one on that list, in my opinion, is tobacco products. Smoking is one of the main things, even smoking and chewing. And of course, in today's day and times where marijuana is becoming legalized everywhere, I even have to include marijuana. If you're going to do marijuana, do the edibles, don't smoke it, because that smoke will increase your risk of ulcers in your stomach.
What about
Vaping
vaping?
is
What is that?
vaping
What
is the
is
same
that?
thing, because vaping, you're still inhaling a chemical that displaces oxygen in the red blood cells. And the
Okay.
basic physiology of it is the blood supply is the worst right at that spot, where the two are connected. That's the least, it's enough blood supply. It's not a problem unless you do something to compromise it. So when you vape with
Okay.
a nicotine vape or even non-nicotine and it displaces the oxygen, the nicotine is kind of a double whammy because it causes constriction of the blood vessels, which causes a decreased oxygen delivery to that area. But even just the oxygen displacement that comes with whatever it is you're smoking, and you get less oxygen to that area, that can cause ischemia to that area, which can cause an ulcer. So smoking, tobacco products are just completely off the table. Not even occasionally. I just, that's one of the few things that I say, not even occasionally. A lot of the forbidden things we talk about, I even give a concession that, every once in a while is okay. But the other one that's really serious, the top two on my list are tobacco and NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, NSAIDs, NSAIDs. And these would be things like aspirin and ibuprofen, Aleve, Mobic. And it doesn't matter whether it's a pill, a liquid. It doesn't matter whether it's an injection. Even the Voltaren gel that you can buy now over the counter to rub on your painful joints. If you use it day after day, it gets absorbed through the skin and it can cause ulcers as well. Wow. Some of the more frustrating encounters I've had was a young girl, one of my patients, who had gone to the dentist and she had to have some dental work done. And the doctor gave her liquid ibuprofen and told her, well, don't worry about it. It's liquid ibuprofen, as though the way it works is the pill somehow burns a hole through your stomach. It's not the fact that it's a pill that causes the ulcer. It's the chemical reaction that happens by taking the medicine. The medicine, not to get too technical, but it inhibits prostaglandin production. Whether it's, again, a pill, a liquid, shots, it doesn't matter. And the inhibition of prostaglandin sort of reduces that protective lining on the stomach, making your stomach more susceptible to ulcers. One of the biggest sort of battles I get in is with the primary care doctor that tells you, well, you're over 40, you ought to be on a baby aspirin every day to help reduce your risk of stroke or heart attack. Right. And you just can't do it because the risk of getting an ulcer is just too great. And my response to that, doctor, would be, what else helps reduce the risk of a stroke or heart attack? Losing 100 pounds.
Yes.
So you're better off 100
Correct.
pounds down, not on an aspirin, than where you would have been 100 pounds ago on that aspirin. Losing that weight helps reduce the risk of a stroke and heart attack, and doing it without that baby aspirin is really important. Now, there are occasions, every once in a while, where someone has to have some major procedure, orthopedic, dental, whatever it might be, where the doctor is absolutely insistent, we just have to do it. And I may concede, but I'll concede with you calling me every day or every other day to check in while you're on that medicine for a very brief period of time, a week or two. And then while you're on it, you should be on something like Prilosec or Protonix. And don't get me wrong, I'm not giving permission for that right now or endorsing it. I'm just saying there are every once in a while exceptions, but I need to be directly involved with those to make sure that if there are any problems, we can catch them very, very early.
And again, thank you for being there for us, for being willing to do that for us.
Well, you're welcome.
So thank you.
That's kind of what I'm supposed to do.
Okay. Well, you may want to do a little talk for some others on that.
Maybe so.
That's okay.
What are some other don'ts? Coffee, is an interesting thing about coffee. So coffee is something where we say you should stay away from. And part of the reason I say just stay away from it altogether is because you could probably get by with a cup here and there. The problem is coffee can be kind of addictive, and what started out as a cup every once in a while now turns into a cup every morning, and then that turns into 2 or 3 cups every day. That can cause ulcers. Right. And so best to just leave it alone. And it's not the caffeine, it's the tannic acid that's in the coffee that causes the problem. So drinking decaffeinated coffee is not the solution. The solution is to drink an alternative, like maybe green tea or some of the other herbal teas, some hot green tea. It's got lots of caffeine in it, gives you energy. It's got antioxidants, so it keeps you healthy, and it's a great alternative for coffee.
Yes.
Soda pop, the same thing, you know, Coke and 7-Up and all these different sodas. Besides being able to cause ulcers, they just don't really have any nutritional value. So you're going to all this trouble to lose weight, and then you're going to be putting all these sugary drinks in your mouth and into your system, and it's just a bad habit to get into. So better to find healthy things to drink to be able to make sure you maintain your weight and don't regain your weight. And then finally,
yes,
is alcohol. And alcohol is one that's kind of in a special category because it's not just that it can cause ulcers, but it can also damage your liver. And there have been numerous studies reported in the medical literature about people who never had a drinking problem. And if you would have asked them, you know, do you think if you had this surgery and you started drinking, you would have a drinking problem after? And they'd say, no way, not me. I'm in control of my life. I've had bank presidents, school teachers, farmers, firemen that have had to check themselves into rehab after this, after the MGB, because they didn't really heed my warnings and became regular drinkers of alcohol. And it can lead to alcohol abuse. One of the theories of why that happens is maybe you're replacing one addiction for the other. But one of the phenomena that's quite interesting is if you could normally have 2 or 3 drinks in a party, pace yourself to where, you know, you're a responsible drinker and you know when to stop so that you can safely drive yourself home. After the surgery, half a drink and the room is spinning and somebody's got to help you to your chair because it hits you really hard and then you recover from it really fast. So I don't tell patients that they can never have a glass of champagne on New Year's or a glass of wine if you're out to dinner, you know, with friends at a restaurant. But have your first glass of alcohol at home so that you don't embarrass yourself.
Right.
And the best advice is to just to not do it at all. But if you feel the pressure that you need to maybe have a little glass of something here or there, make it very rare and very carefully monitored. And the other piece of advice I give people is if you do decide to drink alcohol after this surgery, have a loved one that you trust and be willing to heed their warnings when they notice that you're drinking too much. Don't dismiss them. Don't get angry at them, but select someone that you trust, your spouse, of course, or a family member or a close friend, to be able to point out to you. And you need to direct them. You need to instruct them. I am charging you with this responsibility. If you ever see me getting my drinking out of control, please bring it to my attention. And then you need to write a note to yourself to remind yourself that you instructed them to do that, so that, because as you do fall into it, you may reach that point where you're not listening very well. So having that little note maybe posted or taped to your desk or your refrigerator to remind you helps you to kind of keep that friend in mind and don't turn on them when they're trying to show you love by warning you about some bad behavior that you may fall into.
Yes. And that also brings up another do, and that is communicate with your loved ones, your friends, your family, your partner in life, because you are going to become aware of some emotional issues that you really don't realize until they are. So always communicate with your loved ones. So
that is a big one. And, you know, that also brings up the point of, I've had several patients that didn't want to tell anyone they had the surgery.
Oh, yes.
And, you know, they actually have a harder time than those that just share it with everyone, because now everybody's whispering, do they have cancer? Do they have something wrong with them? And it just makes for an uncomfortable situation. And you have nothing to apologize for. I mean, bariatric surgery is the smart way to lose weight.
Yes.
It's not the easy way out, certainly,
No.
but it is in the long run the smart way to lose weight. So,
And it does. It takes courage, and it's wonderful to be proud of who you are. And that's what
yeah,
happens. You're healthy, you're happy, and you like yourself. What a gift.
absolutely.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think we've covered most of the do's and don'ts. I need to figure out how to get interaction with our audience on here. I'm sure there's a chat feature that I haven't quite figured out, but at some point we're going to have to start using that. So if anybody has questions or comments, they can certainly let us know. Carla, I want to thank you as usual. We'll be back again next Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And you want to give people your phone number in case they want to get in touch with you?
Yes, please call me at 314-807-7110. Again, 314-807-7110. I will be happy to hear from you. Thank you, Dr.
Hold on,
Parker.
Carla. I don't know if it's my speaker. I don't know if it's my speaker or your microphone, but something just cut out when you were trying to give your phone number.
We both got that.
Nope, it's messed up. It's messed up.
Uh-oh.
Do you have a wire you can jiggle or something, maybe?
I don't know.
Oh, I'm hearing you better right now. Give your phone number one more time, just in case.
Okay, 314-807-7110. There you go. Now
All
we're
right.
clear again.
All right. We'll see you next week.
All right, bye-bye.